In all my decades in this hobby, there's always been one burning question from anybody that's, come over to the table side and looked at what we were doing. And that's always been, well, how long did it take you to build that army? Well, let's answer that. All together now. Wag! Welcome back to the Red Ones Go Faster. I'm old Big Mek, and in this video we are starting the journey on putting together our Beastsnagga army. Let's get into it! Now, that answer has always been complicated, right? It really depends. What size army are you building? What faction is it? How unique are you trying to make it? Are you kit bashing it with other things? All of these things make a difference, and really will color how long or short it takes you to build your army. And I am definitely the type of hobbyist to kind of go overboard in that building process, because for me that's the most fun part of Warhammer. But what I really wanted to do was answer that question as honestly as possible for somebody that has regular life, right? Spouse, kids, house, work, school, whatever the case may be. You've got things going on. You're not a professional hobbyist that can spend 48 hours straight working on an army or something crazy like that. If you get yourself a box like this, how long does it take you to put it together and get it ready for the tabletop? And then once it's together, how long does it take you to get it painted enough that you can bring it to a tournament or to your local game store? And that's really what this series is all about. So I've collected orcs for the better part of almost 3 decades now, and I love them to death, right? They have the most fun in the Warhammer universe, which is why so much of my channel is dedicated to orcdom. And when it came time for the Beastsnaggas, I was really unsure about them because of the whole snake bite-ish theme, and being an old buggy speed freak guy myself, I'm all about bikes and things that went fast. And well, a bunch of squigs and unarmored orcs didn't seem like my thing. But then I really got to know these, and I mean, my god, it's a V8 powered squig. How cool and speed freaky is that? So as I've played against Beastsnaggas, as I've seen them built and painted by friends of mine, it's really made me want to do them myself. And so I have now got the opportunity to add Beastsnaggas to my force, but as I don't really have any of these in my army yet, I do have one. We'll talk about that later. But as I don't really have any of these in my army yet, I thought that this would be a great army to use as my, well, how long does it take? Because they are so unique compared to everything else I've done. So building them is going to be an all-new experience. Painting them is going to be very different than painting my regular army. And yeah, they're kind of like this whole stand-alone thing. So this video series is going to chronicle that journey on adding the Beastsnagga force to my existing orcs. And just kind of chronicling how long it takes a regular person with real life to put a new army together. Alright, we are over here at the painting desk where I have actually finished my first Twitch stream on the Beastsnagga build. Now, for those of you that are new to the channel or don't really understand what's going on, Twitch is another service outside of YouTube where you can live stream things like hobbying stuff. And so I've decided that I'm going to be doing a lot of my building and painting on this army live on Twitch so that I can hang out with those of you that are interested in doing that. I'm also going to be making this video series for those that just want the summation and the answers and don't necessarily want to see me put together a whole bunch of these guys at the same time, which is great. So it gives something for everybody depending on what they want. The long and the short of it is, at the end of the first stream, I have my first few Beastsnaggas done. So this is a Beastsnagga knob. This is a Beastsnagga with thump gun. And this is a regular old Beastsnagga. So we've got our first 3 guys built out of the box, and it did take quite a bit longer than usual, but 1, I was trying to stream for the first time, and 2, I've never built Beastsnaggas before, and well, they're a bit different than building old school regular orcs who come in 2-piece bodies. where the legs are one piece and the body is another piece, and then you kind of go from there and mix and match and just kind of glue it together. These you actually have to follow some pretty complicated instructions. They have some weird joins and things like that. It's a new process, a new experience. So I've got an hour into those three guys, but that hour really isn't all that representative of regular life because you're probably not going to be streaming while you do it. So I've done some on stream. I will do some not on stream to see how long those take. That way we've got a better idea of what kind of time it takes. Now, I did say earlier that I did have one Beastsnagga in my army already, and that is this guy right here. This is a Beast Boss on foot, and I actually converted that from this. This is the Warhammer Plus, I believe this is from the first year, commemorative one for the Age of Sigmar. This is Beastsnagga Neck Choppa. Pretty cool looking guy, but you can see he's got a Stormcast Eternal head in that hand and three, well, nipple horns, for lack of a better term, but he is, you know, still pretty cool. So what I did is I converted him, and I made a whole video on this. So I moved some of his horns, I took one off, I gave him an iron gob, I took off the hand with the Stormcast Eternal, put a power claw on it with a big shoot in the middle to match the Beast Boss on foot's loadout, and then went ahead and added kind of some there's a lizardman tail and a skull there and a feather and just, I don't know, some beastie things to kind of tie it all together. Now, he's been done and painted for a while. Like I said, I did a whole YouTube video on him. I've never really used him in a game or anything like that. He just kind of sits around on the shelf, but I do have him to go with this force. Having now built some real Beastsnaggas, I'm starting to think his aesthetic doesn't actually necessarily match all that well. He's got a bunch of chains and chainmail on him. These guys really don't. And while he's got beastie parts all over him, these guys are actually covered in mechanical parts. This dude, for example, he's got a spine on his back. That spine is mechanical. That's a Necron spine. And there's no real mechanical things on this guy. It's all literal beast parts. And then also, these guys have a lot of bionics. You can see his Choppa arm here is actually a bionic orc arm. And this guy kind of doesn't really have any of that. So I'm a little concerned that his aesthetic isn't going to match when everything is said and done. But you know what? He's built, he's painted. You can have three beast bosses. So, you know, having one that's a little bit more feral is just fine. So that's the only one I've got to go off of so far. And I have my three Beastsnagga boys. Now, let's talk about the army itself. Just to, again, your army is going to be totally different, but just to give you an idea of how many things, how many points we're looking at here. So first of all, I bought the original Beastsnagga Army set box when it came out. I want to say back in 2021, real early 21. So this one has 20 Beastsnagga boys, Zogrod Wartsnagga, the set of Squig Hog boys, and a Navon Smash-a-Squig. Now, Zogrod I sold off. He's actually not even technically a Beastsnagga, and I'm kind of against named characters for orcs, besides Gazgul, as a general principle anyway. So he's gone, will not be building him. Ignore that. But I do have, so what I have is 20 of these Beastsnagga boys to build, plus the Navon Smash-a-Squig and 3 Squig Hog boys. So that's, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 units, right? Then this Squigmas Games Workshop announced that they were coming out with an army box for the orcs, the Beastsnagga Stampede, and I knew it would be a perfect addition. You see it has 10 more of the Beastsnagga boys, which, you know, you do need basic boys, a Pain Boss, a Mazrog Scragbad, who's a named character on a Squig, the Kill Rig, which is just super amazing, and another set of these Squig Hog boys and Navon Smash-a-Squig. So this gives me a mounted HQ that can lead. It gives me a mounted character, a second one of those, a second squad of the mounted guys, the Pain Boss to go with some of the guys on foot, another squad of these guys, and then the Kill Rig, which is super, super interesting because you could build it as a Kill Rig or a Hunter Rig, and you can actually set it up where it goes back and forth between the two without needing magnets or anything. and the Warboy here fits on his standalone base. So you can actually build him on his base, have the Warboy separate, and run the Hunter rig, or put him on here, change the thing around, have the kill rig. So I was really interested in that. That really rounds out my army. It gives me, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more units. In addition to that, I also have a second Mazrog Scribebat. Now, again, being against named characters, something that, well, why would you do that? Well, this kit also builds the generic Beast Boss on Squigosaur, who is an amazing unit. So what I'm going to do is build one of them as the Beast Boss on Squigosaur and one of them as Mazrog, so that I have both options available. So that'll give me the named character on the big Squig, the generic Beast Boss on the Squig. We've got the Beast Boss on foot already. So there's our 3 kind of main characters. Then we have 2 knobs on Smash the Squigs, kind of the lower ranking, more like lieutenant guys, which is great. 2 squads of the ones on the Squigs, the Squig Boys. We'll have 2 squads of those. So there's 2 squads of fast attack. The Pain Boss, who's again an extra HQ guy, and then 3 squads of our base troops, and then the 1 heavy support thing. Now, I'm probably using terms that aren't familiar to you if you're brand new to Warhammer. Right now, 10th edition, there are detachments, and then in the detachment, you either have character or not character, and then the only other difference is battle line. And so you can take 3 of everything, except for named characters, you can only get 1. And battle line, you can take 6. And that's it. But for the first 9 editions of Warhammer, you had what was called a force organization chart, and units were grouped based on what they were. So you could have 6 troops units, 3 fast attack, 3 heavy support, 3 elites, and 2 HQ was the bog standard for most of Warhammer's history. And so a lot of old timers like me with the graybeards, we're still going to refer to things as fast attack or heavy support, or elites used to be a thing. And that's kind of where that comes from. But more or less what we're looking at is what? 1, 2, 3 squads of basic dudes on foot, 2 squads of mounted guys, 4 mounted characters, the 2 foot characters, and the 1 giant rig. So we have a good mixture of things to build that's very representative of the amount of time it's going to take you to build kind of any random force. So whether you're building Imperial Guard or Sisters of Battle or Necron or whatever, no matter what you're building, you're going to have that kind of mix, right? You're going to have quite a few squads of the little guys. You're going to have a couple of squads of some bigger guys. You're going to have a couple of characters. You're going to have like a really big thing. You're going to have some stuff that's mounted, right? Kind of vehicle-ish. It gives you a good mixture so that this can kind of be a guide of no matter what you're looking at to kind of give you an idea of the time involved. So now you know the backstory of the video itself and the backstory on the army. What comes next? Well, you're going to have your own backstory, right? You've decided to get into Warhammer for the first time, or maybe you're just building a new army and you're wondering what that is going to look like. You're also going to have your own army. Again, doesn't matter what force you're going with, it's going to be very similar to the type of build. A lot of the tips I'm going to give you are applicable to every army out there because it's about the basics of putting an army together. So the first thing you're going to need after collecting the army is a plan. When are you going to build it? What does that look like? What order do you want to do it in? Here's what I've come up with. I'm going to have random chances that are during the day that I can work on things. This could represent your lunch break, or maybe you're in some virtual meeting where you barely have to pay attention and you can build a guy at your desk. Whatever the case may be, you're in between classes. But if you've got some daytime and you've got a squad you can work on, that's a great opportunity. There's also evenings, right? You get done with dinner with the fam and all that stuff. You've got some quiet time to yourself, maybe even got the TV on or you're watching YouTube. It's a great chance to sit down, clip some guys out of the sprues and put them together. There's also, right, your actual real free time, your weekend or whatever, to sit down and really devote like a chunk of hours to this. And what does that look like? So I'm going to be doing a mixture of all of those things and kind of talking about the pros and cons of each individual time frame so that you have a better idea of like how well that's going to fit into your own schedule. Now, as far as building it, what I am going to recommend is to go ahead and build the entire army before doing anything else. So That means you are going to get everything built before we prime, before we paint, before we do anything with any of them other than building. We want to make sure everything is built and put on its base. And the reason for that is it's going to give you a payoff pretty immediately. Not only are you going to feel accomplished every unit you get built, but you're also going to feel accomplished when the whole army is done. You can actually use it in a game. Yeah, sure, it's great plastic, I get it, but it's better than not having an army at all, especially if you're just getting into this. It gives you an opportunity to start playing with the figures, to start using the army. Even if you're just playing a solo game, just being able to put it all on the board, see what it looks like, get an appreciation for it. It's also going to help you figure out your paint scheme, what order you're doing things, what it's going to look like. Now, what do I mean by that? How can having a whole army built help you with the paint scheme? Well, it helps you with visualization. Trying to decide a paint scheme based on 2D artwork that's already colorized is difficult. Once you have 3D models in front of you, and not just single models, but your whole army, you get more of an idea of what it's going to look like. So for example, if you're doing, say, Imperial Guard, Space Marines, an army that has a lot of very identical looking squads, except for maybe a different type of weapon, they can look very samey, right? It might get you thinking about ideas like, oh, okay, maybe I can do, the heavy weapon squad's head's a different color, or maybe, I can do shoulder pads different colors, or something to that effect to get some more variation going in your army. Sometimes your army is very disjointed looking, and I've got like one unit of little guys and one unit of big guys, and like these vehicles, and like there's not a whole lot that's the same. So if I did all of their, shoulder pads bright orange, but only 15 guys in the whole army have shoulder pads, what else are you supposed to paint bright orange? How are you supposed to put them together and tie them all together? So this gets you thinking about that, because you can see the whole army in the flesh, in 3D and in monotone, so that you can start getting an idea of what that is going to look like. So that is the order of operations we are going to follow here on the channel to do the Beastsnagga Army Build. All right, so we're back over here at the workbench so that I can show you an example of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a whole army and how it helps you plan the paint job. And I'm actually going to do that with my Imperial Guard. So let's turn the camera around and go look at them. So this is part of my Imperial Guard army. Now you do see some old school metal Valhallans here that have been stripped and things of that nature, some with older paint jobs on them. But really what I want to draw your attention to here are the Cadian style guys back here. You can see I have built all of them, and then I even primered all of them and did my undercoat color, and now I'm going through and painting the squads one at a time to get a nice even paint scheme on them so that I have an army that is nice and cohesive. You can see it's a whole lot of troops that look very similar, some troops with kind of a different thing, a walker and a vehicle or two, and some of these heavy weapons teams. Now all of these need to be cohesive and look together, and so I've got my main colors with my medium green and the kind of creamy white going on, and then when they're all done, I'm actually going to use some decals to further differentiate the squads and bring the army all together. But you can see how building the entire force gives me a much better idea of what I'm working with versus having everything in a box, because this doesn't really tell you that much. And frankly, neither does this, to be honest. This is a flat 2D picture of a model, and even when you get kind of some detail shots, you're not getting that full 360-degree view. And I bring you back to old Beastsnagga here. Look at that 2D picture, right? And then try to think in your mind like how you would convert that, how you would paint that, how it would look, versus actually having the 3D guy and being able to turn him slightly and get an idea of his other views. And then you look at the back, and that's the only view of the back you've got versus the whole back, right? Like it looks kind of small there, and then you realize on the model it's quite large, right? So these are all things to think about, and that's why having the model in 3D first is so much better for deciding paint schemes and things like that. You really get a better idea of what you're working with. And then you run into things like these monopose guys. I don't want 3 of this exact guy in my army. That would look kind of weird. So building it first before I ever put a lick of paint on them, so that I know, okay, I need to like swap these arms with somebody, I need to swap a head, I need to figure something out to make the knobs look different in order for my army to make me happy. Alright, so that's been the first episode so far. Again, if you're interested in seeing more of the nuts and bolts of actually building the army, go check out our Twitch channel where I will be streaming live more of the building and then the painting process of this army. I think that there's replays available on Twitch, and if they're not, I will upload them to YouTube so that you can watch the replay as well. If you like what you saw and you want to keep up with this project, definitely consider subscribing so that you don't miss any of the videos and future uploads. If you liked the red squig shirt, this is actually my own original design. You could buy it in my Teespring store down below, along with stickers and shirts that have my old Big Mek logo that I had done by an artist, a small artist named Volgrim. And I have links down in the description for all of that stuff, as well as Velgarn's art and the Goth Rockers, the amazing rock band that did our intro and outro songs. Thanks for being with us here on this video and on this journey. And I'm really looking forward to building this Beastsnagga army and answering this question as thoroughly as I can to make a more realistic one of these videos available for hobbyists now and in the future who really want to answer that question of how long does it take to build a Warhammer army? So until next time, Wag on! Boys, I think the day has come. It is time to reject tradition and embrace the modernness that is the Beastsnaggas. Let's go build!